look at some temperatures that will be cooling off the next few days in just a little bit.
And we're not alone. Most of our counties got lucky dodging the storm, but check out some of these videos we found across the southeast today. This is actually time-lapse showing a tornado forming in Alabama near the town of Demopolis. That's about 60 miles south of Tuscaloosa. In real time, it takes this twister a little more than 3 minutes to spin up and then cross the river right there, but just amazing. 16 tornadoes were reported across Alabama. So far, no deaths that we've heard of.
There's still a lot of damage left behind, though. Here's a look at the ground in Alabama. This area is known as Mount Olive, and it's a suburb of Birmingham. As you can see, churches and houses split into by downed trees. Despite all the destruction, no injuries were reported there. Just a lot of cleanup needed.
Cleanup well underway as well in Mississippi. This is the scene in Wayne County over near the Alabama border. Crews were out there picking up debris. They're trying to get the power poles back in position. Mississippi saw the worst of the storms on Tuesday and then on Wednesday with at least 2 tornadoes touching down in the area, and they have been working around the clock to get the power restored and the town cleaned up. But as you see, that's going to be a big recovery ahead. Developing this afternoon, we're following a hearing in Congress on violence against Asian Americans.
This comes 2 days after the shooting rampage in Atlanta, where a 21-year-old took the lives of 8 people, 6 of them Asian. Nancy Chen has more for us on today's hearing. She brings us the latest now from New York.
Moment of silence for the victims and the victims' family.
A moment of silence in Atlanta for victims of the attacks that killed 8 people on Tuesday, 6 of them Asian women. While police are investigating the shooter's motives, Asian American leaders say their community is devastated.
The past 2 days have been terrible for our community, but it is not just the last couple of days.
Speaking at a House subcommittee hearing, California Democrat Judy Chu said anti-Asian crime since the start of the pandemic has become a crisis that cannot be ignored.
Many of the victims have been older and vulnerable, like Bishop Ratan Kakti, an 84-year-old Thai man in San Francisco, who was killed in an unprovoked assault. Today, we find that there have been nearly 3,800 anti-Asian hate crimes and incidents in just the year alone.
One study finds the number of anti-Asian hate crimes rose 149% in 16 major U.S. cities in 2020 after Daniel Day Kim called on Congress to pass anti-hate legislation.
What happens right now and over the course of the coming months will send a message for generations to come as to whether we matter, whether the country we call home chooses to erase us or include us.
President Biden ordered the White House flag be lowered to half staff in honor of the Atlanta victims. He'll travel with Vice President Harris to Georgia on Friday to offer support to a community in pain. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
Meanwhile, Robert Aaron Long, the suspect in the Atlanta shootings, telling police the attack was not racially motivated. At this point, he has not been charged with a hate crime.
The search is still on this afternoon for a Burke County teenager wanted for murder. Deputies say 19-year-old Tommy Tennyson is wanted in connection to the death of Brian Carswell. He is the brother of the Waynesboro mayor who was found dead back in January. Tennyson is considered armed and dangerous. If you have any information, if you know where he might be, take a good look. You're asked to call the Burke County Sheriff's Office at the number right there on your screen.
New today, a North Augusta man facing charges connected to the sexual exploitation of minors. State investigators say a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children led them to 42-year-old Joshua Bridges. Investigators say he was arrested for having files of child sexual abuse material. Bridges is facing 5 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor in the 3rd degree. And it's a felony punishable by up to 10 years on each count. The case will be prosecuted by the South Carolina Attorney General's office.
We're learning the name of a second suspect now arrested in connection with a murder in Saluda this week. Sean Pridgeon has been charged with accessory to murder. He was taken into custody Tuesday evening. Aaron Hood was also arrested and charged. Police say Hood was seen by witnesses carrying a handgun and walking toward 29-year-old Xavier Cancer just before shots were heard on Keisha Avenue. Cancer died at the scene. The other suspect has been taken into custody, and we are still waiting for investigators to release the name.
This just into us, we're learning about a couple of new vaccine clinics happening in South Carolina, both held by Aiken Regional at USC Aiken Student Activity Center. The first one coming up next Wednesday, March 24th. They're going to have more than 1,200 doses available there. The other is the following Wednesday, March 31st, with 1,000 doses available. We're told appointment availability is first come, first serve. If you live in the Palmetto State and you're eligible for the vaccine, you can sign up at aikenregional.com.
Today's weather called off a lot of events happening across the area, including some of our other vaccine clinics. The new mass vaccination site in Washington County closed this morning at 11, but organizers say they'll be back open and back at it tomorrow. The site can get doses to up to 500 Georgians every day. To register, just head to the website on your screen, myvaccinegeorgia.com.
Gold Cross also calling off their clinic that was supposed to be today in Augusta at the Trinity CME Church. That's rescheduled for Tuesday from 9 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. The Medical College of Georgia looking to expand its impact. The school just receiving a multi-million-dollar grant to help get more doctors into Georgia's rural counties.
News 12's Nick Proto joins us live in the studio with what this could mean for our area.
MCG says there's been a record number of med school applicants across the country, including here at home, because of what they call the Fauci effect. And now the challenge is getting those students to stay here once they finish school. That's where this $5.2 million grant comes in. The school got money from the Georgia Board of Healthcare Workforce. Students become eligible for the money if they commit to staying in Georgia for 3 years after their residency. They'll be placed in an underserved county in the state. MCG says most counties in Georgia, including Richmond County, qualify as underserved. Dr. David Hess, the dean of the college, says this money is a great start towards growing the program for future students.
Gifts attract gifts, and so other corporations now, and perhaps the state, will see fit to contribute and to increase the scholarship.
And coming up on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we'll take a closer look at the physician shortage Georgia's facing and how fixing it could bring more growth and business to rural areas.
It is going to be a breezy and warm.
Plus, with COVID-19 relief on its way around the nation, we're talking to leaders in the Peach State about what this new relief means for Georgians.
And it all started with a book, how one man from the Low Country is now filling schools in Africa with thousands of them. Tens of thousands of children in Kenya will soon have new libraries in their schools, all thanks to a nonprofit in the Palmetto State.
And as Kyle Jordan shows us, it all started with a man from Bluffton and a book.
A team of volunteers is preparing the latest shipment of books to arrive in Kenya as part of a project based in the Low Country.
We funded 8 container loads of books to Africa. Those 8 containers will create libraries in 1,200 schools.
Roy Austin, the founder and chair of Libraries for Kids, started the nonprofit after an African safari a few years ago.
The tour included all these visits to homes and schools and villages and churches and markets and so forth. I didn't care about that. I just wanted to see the animals in the wild while they're still in the wild.
His trip to Africa turned out to be life-changing, thanks to one of those school visits he almost overlooked.
Someone in our tour group asked, "Do you have a library?" And her eyes lit up, and she smiled, and she said, "No, but we'd love to." I could not get that out of my head. I kept thinking, how hard can this be? We'll get some books donated, and we'll ship them over there and help them have a library.
Austin started by shipping one book, then a box, and soon he was sending hundreds of books.
The 11 schools that we shipped to, I guess that would have been maybe 1,500 books.
He says this has become a full-time effort and a blessing during a time of grief over the past year.
My wife died last March 29th, and she was a big supporter of this project, and she would be very upset with me if I didn't continue to try to build and grow it. But it gives me a sense of purpose in keeping on.
Libraries for Kids teamed up with Books for Africa to start shipping containers filled with 20,000 to 30,000 books each. The first arrived this week.
Those 8 containers will impact the lives of 180,000 children. So it's far more than I initially had imagined, but only a beginning.
As the containers filled with books make their way across the ocean, Austin's vision keeps expanding.
My short-term vision is 1 million children. And I say that because in Kenya there are over 6,700 rural schools without internet. There's
Wow.
I love that. It's the power of one person and an idea, and a man asking himself, how hard can it be?
Right. And see, now I'm running through all the books in my head that I have that I could donate. I mean, it's a great cause because when we're finished with them, we're finished with them. Why not send them to someone who could really use them?
And imagine doing the math, all the lives that one person was able to touch with help. And now the snowball effect as it grows larger and larger.
For something he almost overlooked.
Almost didn't want to go to that school, but somebody changed his mind. Changed his life that day. All right, to weather now. And
joining the president and vice president for their visit.
Well, still to come here, the countdown is over, my friends. It is time for March Madness. When and where you can watch some college basketball coming up.
Yeah, do you have your bracket ready? I do. All right, one local woman making it her mission to help others. We'll show you how she's turning brokenness into beauty.
Unemployment, PPP loans, and stimulus checks creating new hurdles for millions of filers.
It's a very serious situation for a lot of families.
Our I-team takes the uncertainty out of this tax season tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
28 or stream anytime on CBS.
As we continue celebrating Women's History Month, you're going to have to hear how one local woman is giving back to others who might be going through a tough time.
News 12's Wrdw shows us how she's uplifting and empowering them with what she calls purses filled with passion.
Care for the women. Do something positive for the women. Strengthen the women.
Deborah Brooks says behind every broken woman is a story.
I was that woman, and I knew what I went through, and I felt that I was lost.
She says God sent her a message to give back and care for women, reminding them of their strength.
People are hurting everywhere. It has nothing to do with race or color. It's about pain.
Pain that she wanted to turn to passion. So she did just that through a woman's favorite accessory.
I said, I will gather purses, fill these purses with passion, toiletries, different things, cosmetics, anything that a woman may need. Because when we look good, we feel good. It's what's inside that purse. It's what's inside of that woman.
She says love generates love.
What is so exciting is that other women are joining in and delivering. They're bringing purses. They're going to their closets.
She says magic happens when we come together.
If we can get our women to pull together, then we'll get better children.
It's hope that keeps her going, working to turn brokenness into beauty.
And wearing that crown without a doubt.
Wrdw on your side.
If you want to get involved with purses filled with passion, we have the story posted online and on our app with details on how you can contribute.
Okay, college basketball fans, you know this. The best time of the year is back. March Madness makes its return after being called off last year because of COVID. Still can't believe that. But the tournament is kicking off right now with the first of 4 play-in games. Texas Southern and Mount St. Mary's just tipping off after 5 o'clock this evening. The first round really officially begins tomorrow. Virginia Tech and Florida at 12:15, and you can watch that with us right here on CBS. And if you haven't done it yet, don't forget to fill out the bracket or they're going to wad it up and throw it in your office trash can. You don't want to be left behind there, Riley.
Not at all. And when you fill out that bracket, it definitely makes you realize predicting the future is hard. Heading into the weekend, we are expecting cooler temps staying in the 50s and 60s. And then we'll look at that 7-day forecast next.
It's game on at